Dead men tell no tales, but their ships speak volumes. Welcome to the Cursed Compass, where we explore the darkest maritime mysteries. Look at these waves. In the winter of 1909, freezing gales turned the Great Lakes into a meat grinder. Following a December storm on Lake Erie, a small wooden lifeboat was found adrift, encased in ice. Inside were 9 crew members, frozen to death. They were wearing life jackets, but the open water offered no protection from the sub-zero wind. These men were the only trace of the Marquette and Bessemer No. 2. She was a 338-foot steel train ferry, built to be an invincible force against the winter ice. Yet she had vanished entirely. This steamship shows the engineering required to operate here year-round. Railroad companies relied on these reinforced icebreakers to ferry fully loaded train cars across the lakes, moving freight across the water without having to unload a single car. In this photograph, you can see the scale of the ships forced to navigate these ice fields. To dominate this trade, architect Robert Logan designed 3 identical, state-of-the-art train ferries. They were the fastest and heaviest ships of their kind. The M&B Note 2 was the first of Logan's 3 sisters to hit the water. Her disappearance in 1909 marked the beginning of a grim pattern for this specific fleet, a pattern that was now closing in on the flagship. This image shows a ship identical to the Pere Marquette 18 departing Leadington on September 8, 1910. She was carrying 62 passengers and crew and 29 railcars packed with coal and freight. The crossing started normally, but at 3 a.m., the wheelsman noticed the ship's steering was becoming heavy and unresponsive. Minutes later, an oiler rushed to the bridge to report 7 feet of water in the stern. As shown in this cross-section, flooding concentrated in the lowest aft deck. The crew called this area the flicker, their primary sleeping quarters. As it filled, the added weight dragged the stern lower, pushing the heavy glass portholes directly underwater. Under the pressure of the waves, the glass deadlights shattered. Freezing water began blasting into the hull at an uncontrollable rate. Captain Peter Kilty turned the ship south to face the waves, hoping to take the pressure off the broken portholes. Below deck, the crew activated every steam pump on the ship. It wasn't enough. The volume of water breaching the shattered portholes mathematically outpaced the capacity of the ship's mechanical pumps. Look at the size of this railcar. To regain buoyancy, the crew shoved 13 of these steel cars overboard, using almost entirely manual labor. As the deck tilted, the heavy wheels began to slip. One by one, the cars slid backward into the freezing lake. At a station like this, the operator tapped out a CQD distress signal. For an hour, he repeated, "Car Ferry 18 sinking. Help." At dawn, the sister ship Pere Marquette 17 finally spotted the vessel and pulled alongside to begin a rescue. To allow railcars to roll directly onto the tracks, these ferries were built with an entirely open stern. As the 18 dipped lower, that missing back wall left the deck vulnerable. The ship scooped up a massive wave, instantly swamping the hull. The bow rose 75 feet straight into the air. As the ship plunged backward, air pressure trapped inside the hull caused a massive internal explosion. The open stern, the design feature that allowed for rapid loading, had become the mechanism of the ship's destruction. It dragged 27 people to the bottom in seconds. Because no officers survived, the source of the initial 7-foot flood was never confirmed. Theories ranged from a loose hull plate to a seacock valve accidentally left open during its recent refit. Whatever the cause, the fleet remained vulnerable. In 1929, the third and final sister ship, the Milwaukee, vanished with everyone on board during an October gale. Days later, the Coast Guard found a floating message cube containing a handwritten note from the Milwaukee's purser. It read, "Pumps are working, but Seagate is bent in and can't keep the water out. Flicker is flooded. Things look bad." These losses finally forced the industry to change. Maritime regulations were updated to require heavy sea gates that could enclose the open stern in heavy weather. In July 2020, hunters finally found the Pere Marquette 18. She rests nearly 500 feet deep on a muddy lake bed off the coast of Sheboygan. The ship is sitting upright, but her stern is buried deep in the soft sediment. Because the muck has entombed the site of the original flood, the Great Lakes will hold the secret of the sinking forever.